Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you to today's episode of the Peace Clinic. The Peace Clinic is brought to you by the Institute of Global Peace and Conflict Management, and I remain your anchor, Janet Michael. So, I welcome you to today's episode. We will be looking at the topic economic inequality and its connection to social unrest. So, if you're joining us, we are glad to have you. We want to have you in the conversation. So do well to join us as we discuss this topic. You can ask your questions, you can send in your contributions in the comment section, and we will gladly attend to them. So for today's episode, we'll be having a guest join us, Pastor Manasseh Adamu. Although we've had him on previous episode, and it's a pleasure getting to hear from his wealth of knowledge on this particular topic. So, not to waste time, I'm going to bring him on so that we can comment immediately. So, thank you very much. Let us hear from you from the comment section. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. So, today we are looking at economic inequality and its connection to social unrest. And we do know that when we talk about economic inequality, we are talking about the uneven distribution of opportunities and also resources in the society. But we would actually love to have you share more light on this topic. First of all, getting to know what exactly is inequality and also social unrest, the causes, and also how to mitigate this, how to make sure that it doesn't lead to social unrest at the end of the day. So we would actually love to hear from you, sir.
Thank you very much for this yet another wonderful time on Peace Clinic here in Institute of Global Peace and Conflict Management. First of all, I would like to say, before I proceed, that there is no way you will skip social unrest in a place where economic inequality is in existence. You can hardly fight against social unrest as long as economic inequality is in place. Economic inequality has been a pressing issue in our societies all around the world for many years and for many centuries now. The gap actually between the rich and the poor masses, the electorate, the politicians has been an increase and has been an issue of concern. But by God's grace, today we will be considering what economic inequality means, types, causes, and the effect of economic inequality in our environment and society, and possibly the way out of this great challenge that almost every country in the entire world or universe is actually facing and encountering. When we talked about economic inequality, what do we mean? We have a definition in general terms and we have definition in more in-depth terms. In general terms, economic inequality will mean economic inequality is actually unequal distribution of income and opportunity between individuals or group of people in a society. Now, it means that when goods and people's services are not being shared equally, when people don't get to receive what they are entitled to, when they don't receive what they are supposed to receive equally with their fellow brethren, it causes, that is what we mean by economic inequality. But in more in-depth terms, is the differences in marginal product, differences in tax structures, human capital, social capital, inheritance, discrimination, and the bargaining power within economic and social unit. Sometimes in a family, you come across a situation where there is when there is a chaos, a fight between two people or three more people in the family, simply because their inheritance was not shared equally. So when people don't receive what they are supposed to receive equally, that is what we mean by economic inequality. It means the distribution of economics goods are not being done the way they are supposed to do. They are not being done equally. Now, when we talk about social unrest, what do we mean by social unrest? Social unrest is a state of social or economic disorder and disobedience to a constituted authority. It means that when people are actually agitating, they are not just agitating to themselves, but they are agitating to a particular group or individual who have been placed in a particular position by a constituted authority. When brother and brother are fighting against each other, they may be doing that because their inheritance was not shared equally to them by somebody who was responsible of doing so. So when you see people fighting against the government, for example, they are actually speaking and doing that because they feel those who are in authority, who are supposed to give them equal share with their counterpart, have failed to do so. And that will lead to social unrest. Now, before I proceed, it will be my I will be talking based on Nigeria as a nation. Now, in Nigeria, on 6 December 1929, there was this popular riot known as Aba Women's Riot. And again, on 27 November in 1947, Nigeria witnessed another revolt or riot known as the Abeokuta Women's Revolt. Now, on 17 April in 1978, there was this popular hashtag of Alimos Go Riot. And on 27 May 1989, we had another which was known as Anti-SAP Riot. This has been some history of unrest that Nigeria has witnessed, just few among the countless that we have. Now, in 2017, which was more rampant for my age group and many others, which was tagged the End SARS protest. The End SARS protest was almost nationwide. It was not just in Nigeria, but it also involved Nigerians in diaspora who also came out in protest under the hashtag of End SARS protest. Now, what do we mean? Types of inequality. When we talked about economic inequality, we've defined economic inequality. What are the types of economic inequality in existence? Number one, I'll strictly be considering 3 economic inequality based on our presentation today. Number one, we have the income inequality. Income inequality. Income inequality refers to the unequal distributions of income among individuals or households within a society. This can be measured using metrics such as the Gini coefficient, which quantifies the degree of income inequality within a population. Now, my question has always been, why do we have someone in grade 5, somebody in grade 5 level, working under the Federal Civil Service, receiving more salary than somebody who is in grade 8 level, working under the State Civil Service? Now, somebody in the Federal Service Commission or in the Federal Service Commission will be receiving maybe, for example, maybe 30,000 naira in grade 5. And somebody who is in grade 8 at the state level may be receiving 15,000 or 20,000 thereabout. And mind you, these same people went to the same school. They paid the same school fees. They sat under the same lecturer. They wrote the same exam. All of them serve this nation for 1 year, compulsory NYC service. And they came out. One of them was lucky to have employment with the federal civil service, another with the state civil service. And their salary are not the same. Why is it so? This is what we mean by income inequality. Income inequality. Now, we have what we call the wealth inequality. Wealth inequality here refers to the unequal distribution of assets and wealth among individuals or households. This can include property, investment, savings, and other forms of wealth. Wealth inequality is often more pronounced than income inequality, as wealth tends to be more concentrated among a small percentage of the population. Now, in my family, for example, if I happen to be the last born, maybe I have three eldest ones are ahead of me, and maybe during a distribution of our inheritance, the firstborn will be asked to take, for example, maybe 10 naira. The secondborn will be asked to take 8 naira. The thirdborn will be asked to take 6 naira. Myself being the last born, I'll be asked to take 4 naira. I may feel bad. Why is this so? We are all we are all children of the same parent. Maybe I was even more loyal than the first or second born. Maybe I was even involved in doing some house activities than one of the eldest. But they ended up receiving more share of the family inheritance, possibly because they were privileged. They were privileged to have been given birth before me. That alone can actually cause unrest in the family. I will begin to see those who were involved in the sharing of the inheritance as my enemies. I will begin to see my brothers as my enemies because they failed to speak out for me. This is what we mean by wealth inequality. Sometimes that is why in this present age, the ladies will tell you they prefer to go for court wedding because at the end of divorce, the wealth will be shared equally. Now, these are the mindset of my generation right now. These are the mindset of many young ones out there, especially the female gender. Now, these are economic challenges, and either we like it or not, this challenge is capable of bringing unrest, social unrest in our community, in our society, in our worship places, and even in our home as family. Now, the last one, which is the third one, we have the opportunity inequality. It is almost similar with what I've actually stated in the first part. When we talk about opportunity inequality, it refers to the unequal access to education, healthcare, employment, and other opportunities that can impact an individual's social-economic status. This type of inequality can perpetuate cycles of poverty and limit social mobility and social growth. Now, maybe the senator representing Southern Kaduna is from my community. And because he's from my community, he wants the people of my community to feel his impact as a senator for the next 4 years that he will be in the government. He will build us roads. He will construct classes. He will build classes. He will tend to bring social amenity like schools, like hospitals, pipe-borne water, electricity. Maybe only to my community or to the local government where he hails from. What happened to other part of the constituency? What happened to the other senatorial district where he is representing? And you will be surprised, maybe those who voted him are not even members of his district. Why is this so? This alone has actually caused a lot of social unrest in our community and our axis. I'm not actually talking about only the politicians and only the government. I'm concentrating and speaking more because we've witnessed a lot of social unrest as a nation, and which has been as a result of economic inequality by the political leaders who have actually failed to some point to do what they were supposed to do. Now, what are the consequences of economic inequality in the community and our society as a whole? Economic inequality has far-reaching consequences of individuals and societies, either we like it or not. In this very paper, I hope to examine the impact of economic inequality and health outcomes, education, crimes rates, and political participation. We will also discuss the psychological effect of living in a social mark by extreme inequality. Now, imagine in a situation where community number 1 has pipe-borne water, has primary school and secondary school, has good hospital, has good road. And community number B and number C has none of these social amenities. And maybe within the community B and C, the pregnant women in those communities are more higher than the pregnant women in community A. Just imagine what will happen to the mortality rates of community B and C. Imagine what will life look like in community B and C. The people of community B and C will not only consider the person who refused to bring them those social amenities as their enemies, but they will also consider community A members as their enemies. In fact, at some point, community B and C may tend to refuse their children from marrying from community A because they see them as their enemies, as people who are reason behind the underdevelopment of their community. This is what it can actually cost. Social unrest and economic inequality, that's another thing it can actually lead to. Social unrest is often fueled by economic inequality, and we hope to explore the ways in which economic inequality can lead to protests, riots, and revolution. This is our target now. Our target here is not just to discuss what social unrest means. It's not just to discuss what economic inequality means, but is to bring out the dangers and the risks involved in economic inequality in our community and our society as a whole. Number 2 is to actually provide solution on how we can actually mitigate this challenge of economic inequality as individuals, as a group, as a community, as a religion body. We all must put hand in decks and make sure that we fight not against social unrest, but we fight against economic inequality. Social unrest is not the issue. What is the cause of social unrest? That is what we need to deal with. Now, let me take you back. There was this family who had issue. There was an issue between the husband and the wife, and they tried actually to solve and resolve the issue. The issue kept, the challenges continue until the counselor, the marriage counselor, the marital counselor got tired. He called both the husband and the wife. He sat them down. He asked them question, what is the problem? The wife claimed, my husband doesn't give me money as he used to. The husband actually say, even if I give her money, she don't make proper use of it as she should. Until the pastor say, no, there is a problem behind this money challenge in the family. Tell me. The husband summoned courage and told the marriage counselor, he said, sir, for the past 6 months, I've never made love to my wife. Because she assumed I'm a security officer, she assumed in my place of service, I'm going after other women, so she can't give me her, she can't let me have her. it would shock you what the marriage counselor just did. He just stood up from his seat, he locked his door, left them inside, and he went outside. And he simply told them, resolve the issue now before I come back. After 30 minutes to 1 hour, he came back. All of them were seated, smiling and laughing. The challenge they were having was not the husband not giving the wife money. The challenge they were having was not the wife not spending the money appropriately. The challenge they were having was something they were hiding within themselves. So the social unrest Nigeria is facing as a nation is not a problem. What is the reason behind the social unrest? This issue is the challenge. Until this challenge is properly dealt with, we cannot claim to deal with social unrest. When a father and his wife, when a husband and wife, are not in good terms, there may be reason behind it. No matter how you try to resolve the issue, it cannot be resolved unless they tell except they come out to tell each other the truth and they are able to deal with the challenge they are hiding. The hidden challenge of Nigeria is economic inequality. Now, political inequality, let me take you back. I hail from a very small community but mighty community in southern part of Kaduna known as Kataf Chiefdom in Zango local government area of Kaduna State. Imagine somebody coming from this axis as the state governor, or somebody coming from southern Kaduna as the Nigerian president. Somebody will tell you it is not possible. But the question is, are we not Nigerians? It means there are people, there are tribes, there are districts that have been marked that they cannot become anybody in this nation. The same thing when it comes to education. There are schools today where some courses are not just a go area for other people from other tribes or from other religions. Because they feel these courses are special courses. That's what they refer to them. They are special courses. They are catchment courses. So the common man child cannot apply under those courses and think he will have his way. Maybe those who are going for law, those who are going for medicine, those who are going for bigger courses, they tag them bigger courses. Not common man child can actually afford to go to those courses. Not because he's not intellectually sound, not because their parents cannot afford to pay their school fees, but because there are a group of people in that academic sector who feel the common man child cannot offer this course. And this is the same Nigeria where we all claim to be citizens of. There are tribes in Nigeria that they have been marked that they cannot become president. If I'm getting it wrong, somebody should come out and correct me. We want to know, can Idoma man become Nigerian president? Can a man from the thief land in Benue State become Nigerian president? Can a man from Ebibio, from Qatar, from Baju, from Adara, from Langtan, from Pangshin become the Nigerian president? The Hausas, the Igbos, the Yorubas, possibly they will tell you it is not possible when we are here. We are the major tribes. These are the problems. These are the challenges. When people are not given the same opportunity with their counterparts, they react negatively. And that reaction is what leads to social unrest. When people don't get the same privilege like their mates, psychologically it can affect them. And when they are not psychologically sound, their actions, nobody can predict. So these are the challenges of economic inequality in our society. This is politically alone. Now, coming down to religion side, for example, in Nigeria, I know a couple of people who were agitating for Bola Ahmed Tinubu not to be president because they felt, number one, he was Muslim. Now, you remember the issue of Muslim ticket? It causes a lot of chaos. It causes a lot of unrest in Nigeria. It was top of the town. It was all over the media, both stream media, cable networks, social media. It was all over. These are the challenges of religion inequality. When another religion feels they are not being given the same equal right and distribution, they can tend to react negatively. Reason because political inequality has caused a problem. Just like I've mentioned, when two children of the same father don't receive equal treatment, the other can react negatively. He can react towards his brother, he can react towards his parent, he can react towards his uncles and aunties and other people within the environment that he felt they are supposed to stand in for him, but they are keeping quiet. Now, social unrest does not just affect the cause, but it also affects the indirect causes. Like somebody will say, those who see evil and refuse to speak evil are equal with those who act evil. When somebody is raped and you know who raped the person and you decide to keep your peace, not to speak against rape, your offense is as equal as somebody who committed that offense. So when people who are supposed to speak against economic inequality are quiet, are mute, at the center of unrest and economic inequality, they are also perpetrators of economic inequality. They cannot be excluded from the actors of economic inequality. Now, these are some of the challenges, these are some of the effects that economic inequality can actually cause to us. What actually brings social unrest? I've already addressed that. But let me quickly say that injustice, unemployment, religious intolerance and extremism, illiteracy, and government not feeling agreement reached with unions, just like what we just discovered this week about the NUC and Nigerian Labour Congress as well. When the government and NUC and those in union authority are unable to reach a certain agreement, it can cause social unrest. When people are not well informed and well educated, that alone can cause social unrest. Now, let me take you back. When there is a government policy in place, the government should always be informed that there are people who are intellectually sound, who follow on social media, who follow the news media, who go out to spend money and buy news paper just to read and follow up the state of economic of the nation. And there are people who just sit, they are just, I don't care. They don't care what is happening. Those are the most dangerous set of people because they don't know the right and left of the happenings in the nation. So whatever anybody tells them, this is what is going on, either it is wrong or right, so long somebody who is feeding them with those information, it's somebody they hold trust on, they can actually believe him, and the reactions, you can never tell. You never can tell what their reactions can actually resolve to. So I want to say this, that people should be well and very well informed. The issue of illiteracy should be fight, not just about going to school. But how do you communicate government policy to the layman, to the farmer in the rural area? Maybe when the state government will come up and tell us their 2024 budget is so billion naira, the federal government will tell us their 2024 budget is so trillion naira. How do we arrive at this yearly budget? The common man doesn't know that. All he knows is that the state government budget for this year is 200 billion naira. And all you are telling him is that the state government will spend 200 billion naira now. How will government spend that 200 billion naira now? The common man in the village doesn't know about that. So when people are not fully informed, it can cause social unrest. And who are in the position to inform and educate them? It is the government responsibility. That is why we have the federal government, the state government, and the local government. It will shock you that the state grant to the local government is nothing to write home about. The money the local government chairman receive as their monthly budget, they can hardly pay the local government staff, not to talk of organizing awareness program, organizing a forum where people will be informed and educated about government policies. So I also want to charge the federal government and the state government to actually look towards this direction, that people who are even against the success of this government are people who are not fully informed. People who are not fully aware of the government policy. Now, if they are aware of the government policy, the another challenge is keeping to the promises. When the common man, all he knows is that if you tell him you want to come and build him a classroom in his community, he doesn't. All he wants is the classroom being built in their community. When he will tag you as a liar, as a deceiver. And for political life, either you retire as a politician, as a come back home, he will regard you and see you as a deceiver, as a liar, as a fake. And for the rest of your life, he may. And this alone is self-social unrest. Doesn't even have rest for himself. He sees you angry with himself, and you don't even know he's angry. So social unrest does not just affect the actors, affect the victims, because the victims are not happy. They go out protesting. Internet alone has psychological effect on him. So the challenges of social unrest does not just affect the perpetrators, but also affect even the victims. Number one, he doesn't receive what he's supposed to receive. He's bitter, he's crying, and by tomorrow he will go for medical checkup and they'll tell him he has low BP or high BP. Why? Because of social unrest. And the government idea, or the person responsible for social unrest, is there relaxing. He doesn't even know about what is happening. So, like I will always say, cutting from the scripture, the Bible has ordered us not to worry. In the book of John chapter 14, the Bible says, worry not about anything. So when you are worried, you are even causing trouble to yourself. Like I had a preacher speak yesterday, that when the scripture said, do not, it is an order. So when the scripture said, do not worry. So I want to say, even with the government inequality policy, do not worry about it. You just need to be yourself and make sure that nothing worries you. You do your best to contribute your quota. in the nation's economy. Now, let me divert a little. When we keep talking about government inequality and government policy, let me bring it back to the common man. How faithful are we to the government policy? How faithful are we to individuals? I'm an eyewitness of grassroots youth. Sometimes people receive maybe 5,000. They will tell you, go and distribute it among your peer groups. One person will take that 5,000 and pocket it, and you will never hear about it again. And these are the same people speaking against the government inequality. These are the same people castigating the government economic inequality. So we all have our role to play as long as we are citizens of this nation. Now, how do we address the issue of economic inequality? Economic inequality has far-reaching implications for individual societies. Like I've mentioned the challenges and implication, you will all agree with me. The implication is so enormous. It can lead to social unrest, political instability, and decreased economic growth. When there is a riot as a result of economic inequality, maybe number A community, like I mentioned, has primary school, has pipe-borne water, and community B and C decided to go and burn down the primary school in community A. The money that should be used to build primary school in community B or C will still be diverted to renovate the school that was burned down. So who are the people losing? It is the same people who go about fighting and rioting are the same people losing. The economic class doesn't even know about anything that is happening. They may see it, they may hear it, but in terms of feelings, they don't even feel anything is happening. Imagine the 1 or 2 days Nigerian Labour Congress protest that was held in Lagos and some part of Nigeria. The economic class don't even bother. Some of them were not within those towns as at the time of those protests. How will they feel about it? Nothing. Now, taking you back to EndSARS protests, some prominent individual houses were destroyed. Some government parastatals were actually destroyed. The money that is supposed to be used to cater for the masses was still being diverted to renovate and develop the destructed places. So who are the people now losing? It's the same masses, the same people who are protesting and rioting. So I am not in support of riots. I am not in support of fights. I am not in support of social unrest, but I'm not also in support of economic inequality. So the people responsible for social unrest and those responsible for economic inequality must put heads together and go back to the drawing board, sit on a round table, and think of possible means of putting this economic and this nation back to its rightful track, so that economic growth and development can be felt and experienced by both the masses and the economic class. When the masses are not happy, I tell you the truth, those in authority will not be happy. When those in authority do what they are supposed to do, the masses will be happy and will all live happily in this nation. So my candid advice is that economic inequality should be fight against. Social unrest should be fight against. But both those responsible for the two must go back to the drawing board. One of the challenges and causes of economic inequality we have is the government policies. When the government policies tend to benefit only but one man, leaving another man When government policies seem to favor one religion, leaving another religion. When government policies seem to favor one language, leaving another language. You know, the culture of Nigeria is multicultural. In my state alone, in Kaduna State, we have over 70 cultural group. We have over 70 tribes and languages. So imagine Kaduna State as a state. Imagine Nigeria as a nation. And you decided to pick only one or two tribes over the rest. The action will not be something we would love to watch. We will not even love to see the consequences of such actions. So I bet you that people should be treated equally. When government are bringing out policies, they should consider the classes of individuals, the classes of the citizens we have. We have the common man, the man who doesn't even go to school. We have other man who goes to school, but is sitting and doing nothing. And we have other man who is also in the government, but doesn't even feel the impact of the government. No, there are people that you feel they are in the government, they are well-to-do. Just of a recent, 2 days back, I met an education secretary, a retired education secretary of a local government, an ES of a local government. After retirement, they will tell you that they will spend months and years pursuing their gratuity, pursuing their benefit, going back to square one, feeding from hand to mouth and begging people